Hey guys, Maria Morales here from LowKick MMA, and today I am joined by the man that plans on winning $1 million in a couple of weeks, none other than PFL featherweight Brendan Loughnane. Brendan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks, Maria.
Absolutely. So, obviously, for our viewers who may not be aware, the regular season of PFL is done. We're now in the playoffs. The semis are coming up for the featherweights on August 13th, and you will likely have your hands full with your first draw in the playoffs in Movlid. Always kill this name, Khaybulaev. Uh, I know that you are looking, and I want to get there in a second. I know that you're looking a little bit past him, but not really. Tell me a little bit about this matchup and why you think that, you're going to come out victorious and get into that final.
Yeah, I'm definitely not looking past Movlid. Movlid's a dangerous guy. He's probably the most well-rounded guy in the tournament. And yeah, it's going to be a tough fight. He's a good wrestler. He comes from that Dagestani pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be an easy fight, but that's not what I signed up for. So I'm excited to test my skills.
Absolutely. And now, you just mentioned that he's probably one of the most well-rounded fighters that you faced in the tournament. What, if anything, are you changing up in the camp to prepare for him?
Nothing really. I'm the top seed. I'm the one on the crazy win streak. You don't change winning formulas. I'm just gonna work my ass off like I do every day, and I'm gonna come in the best Brendan.
Yeah, I mean, I watched your fight against Tyler Diamond live, and it was just brutal. And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, like if he keeps this up, it's going to be kind of easy for him to get through the rest of this tournament. But you in another interview you had mentioned, and forgive me if I've got the quote wrong, but the general sentiment was that you and Bubba Jenkins in a final for the PFL title this year is good for the PFL. Can you elaborate for me a little bit on why you think that that's the fight that needs to happen?
I think it's good because Bubba opens his mouth. I open my mouth. We're not scared to say what we think, and we're not scared to say how we're going to get the job done. Um, I think he's a pretty popular guy in the States, being a national champion and things like that. So I just thought that me and him would make a great final, but I don't think he's going to get to the final. I think Chris Wade's going to beat him. So, I mean,
Really?
I really do. After watching his last fight, I think that Chris Wade's gonna stop him in the third round. I think so. I mean, hopefully he gets there, but if he doesn't, and it's Chris Wade, let's go.
Yeah, no, listen, that's a hell of a hot take. I think either one is good, but you're one of the first people I've heard to just come out flat out and give a prediction for that fight. So I think that that's awesome. But listen, anybody that wants to know what's going on in the PFL can go to the website, can see it. I really want to take a little bit of time to talk to you about some things outside of the PFL and more what's going on with you.
Yep.
Obviously, this past weekend was a huge sports weekend. There were two major events in my mind that were going on between the Euro finals and UFC 264. My understanding was that you were at one of those events. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it wasn't the final, so shame on you. You were supposed to be at Wembley.
Well, I was there in spirit, and I did watch the fight in the pub. The UFC was a great night. It was a great atmosphere. It was good to see fans back, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I want to ask you two things because obviously, you've had a stint in the UFC. There are a lot of people, myself included, that believe that you should be in the UFC right now and not in the PFL. Although no knock to the PFL, but it's arguably the very best featherweights in the world are in the UFC, and we consider you to be one of those and feel like that should be your home at some point. That said, I felt like there was a really interesting fight at featherweight between Ryan Hall and Topuria and Ilya Topuria. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that fight. Obviously, you were there live. Ryan Hall was a puzzle that people thought couldn't get figured out, but clearly he got figured out. What were your thoughts as you were watching that fight?
I won some money on that fight.
Did you?
I I put Ilya first round knockout, and I just knew that was going to happen. You can't be this one. You can't be one dimensional at this level. And Ilya's a good fighter. I like
Mhm.
watching him. He's very talented. So yeah, I won some money on that one.
Nice. So obviously, the biggest fight of the year across all promotions happened between Poirier and McGregor, and I think that the result, or at least the way the fight went, was obviously what no one expected. I think that there were a lot of
Mhm.
pundits and fighters alike that really did think that Dustin would win the rubber match. Obviously, there are folks that thought Connor would as well. Give me your thoughts on the fight going into the fight, and then obviously with what happened and all the commotion afterwards. Like, you were there. What was it like?
Great atmosphere, great fight. It was going Poirier's way the first round. Who's to know what would have happened in the second? Poirier looked fantastic out there, though. He looked like a real well-rounded, seasoned veteran. And I was happy, I was happy with just being there, just being there with fans. And Donald Trump was in there, and all like crazy celebrities, and the atmosphere was insane. And it was just so nice to have that feel of a fan back after a year and a half.
Yeah, for sure. And Vegas is just, if you ever get a chance, you got to go to a fight in Vegas. Like, you can go to all of these other venues, but
Yeah,
there's something
I
about a fight in
I
Vegas
agree.
that's just, it's insane. So let me ask you about the other thing that happened this weekend. So obviously, I don't know. Hopefully, a lot of our listeners and viewers are also football fans, and I'm talking about soccer, not the NFL. So there was a huge, huge game this week with England getting back into the Euro finals for the first time in what, like 40 years or something like that, like some crazy amount of time.
96 was the last time that we got in a major final. Yeah, so there was a lot riding on it, and it was a great game overall. I think Italy were the better team throughout the tournament. They did deserve it. I actually just did an interview just before this one with an Italian guy. It was funny, so we was having some banter about it. But yeah, it was a great. We did really well, young players, and we got right to the final, which no one expected us to. So, and to lose on penalty kicks, I mean, it's like a flip of a coin.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of what I wanted to ask you about. There's been, unfortunately, a lot of really negative commentary from fans who, are understandably upset that England lost, but it's been very targeted and very negative towards Radford, Sancho and Saka. Talk to me about, as an Englishman, as a fan of the sport, you know, how does that make you feel when things like this happen and you have your fellow countrymen just pretty much acting like complete asses?
Well, I actually know Marcus Rashford. I grew up with Marcus Rashford, so
Really?
yeah. So we're from the same area, and yeah, it was disgusting the way the English people behaved. And I said on a previous interview, I was actually a bit embarrassed to be English this weekend after watching all the riots, all the English fans just punching each other and just wrecking the place, and then to go and turn racial. But these were the same players that you're all praising last game when they were scoring. It's just
Right.
stupid. It really is stupid, and it was a sad day.
Yeah, I sat and I watched the game, and I was rooting for England because, well, it's England Premier League. My team's Man City, so all day long that was the only team that I was gonna be rooting for in the tournament. But I sat there and I remember watching the penalty kicks and thinking to myself, after Saka missed, like, how heartbreaking, because people forget, like, he's what, 19 years old. He's a child, pretty much. Like, people are sitting here and having this reaction as if he wasn't already put in this biggest moment of his life, and to see that emotion, it was really heartbreaking.
Well, me watching them penalties, I was like, can you imagine the pressure of the whole world watching you take this penalty kick? And it was like, these are young kids with that kind of pressure on the shoulders, and like literally millions and millions. You got the prime minister, you've got the royal family there, and it's like
Hmm.
you're responsible.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it was a heavy amount of pressure. The boys did great. They should keep their head high.
Yeah, and the thing to me too is, with that amount of young talent and the run that England put on, you have to look at them as one of the favorites going into the next Euro. Like, there's no way that
World
you
Cup.
can't. Yeah, oh, yeah, right,
So,
exactly. World Cup's right around the corner. Like you gotta be there for that. So I gotta ask you because my understanding is that you're from Manchester. So City or United?
well, I fell out of love with soccer a few years ago, to be honest.
Really?
An avid soccer fan. I've got, like I say, I know Rashford, I know Jesse Lingard. Jesse Lingard's family actually all came out to my last fight, so we're all close in these areas, and I'm just happy for them doing well. In terms of supporting the team, I'd probably lean to red more than blue.
Ugh, it's heartbreaking. No, that's the wrong answer, Brendan. No, I was actually back in January of 2019. I made it to Manchester to Etihad for my first game.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, yeah. Went and saw them basically destroy the Wolves. And like next to the only sporting event, and I've been to a ton of them here in the States, the only sporting event that was above that experience for me was no, not even the Super Bowl. UFC, oh, I want to say it was 256, but I could have the number wrong. In Vegas, where Cormier knocks out Stipe and wins the title.
Okay, interesting.
That place just it was insane. And I've never been to a Connor fight, but I've been in Vegas for a Connor fight, and the city is just crazy when Connor's there. But that single event, top of the list, with making it to Manchester second on my list. So hopefully I'll get back.
I'm so glad you went. What did you think of it?
So being I grew up obviously as an American watching American football. Used to be a season ticket holder here where I live in the States. Um, and so you have an idea of what that experience is supposed to be. You go to professional baseball games and basketball games. Everything about how the British do a soccer match is amazing. Like I've told anybody that I know that's like, yeah, I'm going to Europe. Go to a match while you're there. Like it's just such a different experience.
Yeah,
Like the atmosphere is insane. Like I don't know if you know this here in the States. A team, anybody can buy a ticket to a football team's game. So like where I am, I live in the area of the team that used to be called the Redskins, is now just the Washington football team. As a season ticket holder, I would go to a game and there would be more fans from the other team in our home stadium
Oh,
than fans for the team because there are no regulations around the
oh,
number of allotted tickets.
okay.
So nothing, if nothing else, that right there alone makes the experience of a premier soccer match 20 times better than that.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed I could not take my beer down to my seat. I understand there's a little history there, so I get it. I get why I couldn't drink in my seat. Also had an issue and forgot to call French fries, chips, and regular potato chips are crisp.
There
Had a
you
little
go.
issue. Had a little issue ordering snacks, but I got figured it out right away. And of course, hitting the pubs. You guys do that right. Like if there's nothing else that gets done right,
Oh, oh,
pubs.
we know how to drink. We know how to drink.
Absolutely. So with that, it kind of takes me to I got a couple more questions for you before I let you go. Um,
Yeah.
UFC Fight Night is coming to London in September.
Yes.
And so the fans that are going to be there will obviously, especially if they fly in, get to enjoy some pub life. But an old quote unquote friend of yours is going to be on that card in Paddy Pimblett. How do you think that he's going to do in the UFC?
I think he'll do great. I think his personality shines. It's not a very tough matchup he's got for his first one. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
look after him. They're going to build him up. And I think with the way he talks, I think he's going to do great. The UFC will get behind him. The fans will get behind him. And why wouldn't you? He's a lovable rogue.
Yep, that he is. So speaking of that, you're sitting here, you're going into the semis pretty soon. If your preparation pays off the way that it should, you're going to walk away with $1 million in that title. What's next for you after that, Brendan?
That's a good question. I've not really thought past that. But it'll be a nice, I don't know, it'll be a good point in my career to get the gold finally, and to have a nice full bank account. That'll be nice for sure. But I'm definitely not looking past that right now. I've got two really dangerous fighters in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as that's done, we'll look at that bridge when it comes.
For sure. And one last thing that I want to ask you, right now, all the rage seems to be a lot of fighters stepping out of their comfort zone and trying different things for the sake of money, fame, what have you. And so we're getting a lot of MMA guys, moving over into boxing. We've got Jake Paul versus Tyrone Woodley coming up. Who do you got in that fight? Who would you put your money on?
I don't even want to say. I really don't want to say. I
Really?
really don't want to say. I guess by the way I'm saying it, you know who I'm talking about. So I'm not gonna that fight, but we got a 5-time UFC champion fighting a YouTuber, and it's like, please don't, bro. That's all I'm saying. Please don't lose, bro.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Anderson kind of righted the ship, but it hasn't been looking too great for the MMA guys stepping into the boxing ring. And in general, like, do you have a problem with that? Like, do you think that there's an issue with guys making that transition, or just the fact that a Jake Paul, who's a YouTuber, and listen, credit to him, he's putting in the work in the gym and what have you, but having this guy that's known for making funny videos now in the boxing ring, like, do you look at that as almost like an insult to like martial arts and combat sports in general?
Not at all. I mean, you've got to move with the times. All these cavemen that are sat there saying, "Oh, these YouTubers are making more money than us." You know what to do. Get on the mic, start telling people what you're gonna do, start jumping into boxing, start doing this and that. Like, if you sat there moaning about it, then you're never gonna get anywhere. I deserve this because I've been in the sport this long. Shut up, man. Get on with your shit. You know what I mean? Like, that annoys the life out of me when people moan about him making
Yeah,
money. So what? Tyron gone out there, Ben Askren made his money. Like, make your money. At the end of the day, we're prize
right.
fighting. You know what I mean? We're fighting for prizes. Like, this is what we're in it for. I'm trying to pay bills. I'm trying to feed my family. If I have to box a YouTuber, let's go. Let's go. Right.
No, no, listen, I get it. It's one of those things that I think always happens at an evolution point, right? Like, you've got people, the old guard that want things to be a certain way, the new guard that's saying that there's a new way to do it, and then some of us in the middle, like, yeah, like, entertain me. If that's what you're gonna do, let's go. So with that, Brendan, I want to thank you so much for taking time. I always tell fighters I never wish anyone good luck, because I personally feel like that's an insult to all of the hard work you do. That's not luck, that's a lot of hard ass work that you guys put in. So with that, I hope that all of your preparation pays off for you in the semis and on your way to the title.
Much
All right,
appreciated. Thanks for your
thank
time.
you.
Appreciate it.